have two.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. That's right.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi there, Jimmy. I guess you know who this is. This is old Grandpa Simcox. Yeah. I wanted to tell you about having
Jack
chance
Manory.
to go hunting and seeing lions and tigers and so forth. So I'll have to tell you a Jack Manory story. Jack Manory was a guy, he liked to hunt and fish and do all things. And many times he used to go to Africa and hunt for lions and tigers. And when he would go, he always had a great big gun that he carried, and then he had a fancy coat on and a hat to protect him from the bugs and so forth that are flying around down there in Africa. And he would have some fellas help him, and they'd start out into the jungle. It's warm down there in Africa, so they had to bring themselves water that they could drink, so they'd be able to take care of themselves. And they would start into Africa. They had a tent with them so they could stop and rest and put it up and sleep. But anyway, when they did get into Africa, they had to get into a boat and cross the big ocean till they got to Africa. And when they got out of the boat, they hired some men to come with them, and the men would carry their guns for them, and they would start into the jungles. They wanted to get some lions and tigers, and you know how they growl and carry on. They're dangerous. You have to be careful of them. So they had the guides with them, and they had the guns, so they'd start into the jungle through the woods into the jungle, and they had to push the leaves and trees out of their way in order to get into the jungle to find. They wanted to catch at least one big lion and one great big gorilla, if they could. Now you know what gorillas are like. They growl and carry on, and they beat their chest, and they're going to have to be careful, because a gorilla could grab you and twirl you around and toss you into a big puddle of mud, and you don't want that. So when they finally decided what they were going to catch, they were going to catch a gorilla, and they were going to catch a lion and one tiger. And the tiger has all kinds of stripes on him, all different colors. So they got the men together and got their guns. So they started marching into the jungle through the weeds and the trees, and it was hard going, walking through all that stuff. And all of a sudden they heard a roar. And I thought, uh-oh, that sounds like a lion. So they were very careful, and they walked slowly, didn't want to make any noise, and then all of a sudden they heard a great big roar, and they knew they were getting pretty close to a lion. And there was one of the fellows' name was Jimmy, just like yours. And they said, "Here, Jimmy, how about you making a noise of a lion roaring?" And so Jimmy says, "Well, I don't know, I'll try, but what'll I do if he tries to get me?" And they told him, "Well, don't worry, you roar and make that noise, and when you do, and the lion comes out of the woods, we'll shoot the lion, and then we'll have him." And Jimmy thought for a minute or two. He said, "Well, how about that gorilla?" And we said, "Well, you can act like you're a gorilla. You can just wave your arms and growl, and the gorilla will think you're a friend of his. So don't have anything to worry about." Well, Jimmy decided to do it, and off they all started to walk into the woods in Africa. They were going to get a big lion. And they knew when they saw the lion coming, they were going to get great big nets and throw them over top of the gorilla and tie him up and haul him off. So Jimmy began to look around and watch them as they were going carefully, walking one step after another step. And then finally Jimmy says, oh, I see the lion. He's right up ahead. We'll have to get our nets together, and then we'll throw it over him. And so they spread out their big nets that they felt sure would hold the lion. And then they spread it out, and they all began to make funny noises, and that made the gorilla and the lion wonder what was going on, and they, all of a sudden they decided, the gorilla and the lion, that we'll have to see who's making that noise. And here it was Jimmy making that noise. He was growling, and the gorilla was a little bit upset. He was concerned. And so all at once, as they stepped slowly through the forest, Jiminy crickets, all at once there had a great big roar. And by that roar upset Jimmy. He rolled on the ground and got up, and sure enough, there was the gorilla and the lion standing there. So right away, our fellows that were hunting for him decided they'd go ahead and shoot the gorilla and shoot the